Oh, hi Internet. So today I wanted to do a video entirely dedicated to the Mamiya RB67. I know I briefly went through this camera when I did a video on film photography on a budget, but I wanted to kind of dedicate an entire video to this and give you an idea of what this camera is all about and why it's a good option for someone who's looking to break into medium format photography without spending a ton of money. So this is a camera that was manufactured by the Mamiya Corporation out of Japan from the 1970s all the way to, I believe, the 1990s. This particular model, this is the Pro S model. This one was built from the mid-70s, like 1974, 75, all the way through 1989. It is fully mechanical, so if you're a fan of machinery that doesn't have any electronics, there's no whizzing, there's nothing to fail on here, you like heavy duty metal components, this thing weighs somewhere in the range of 6.5 pounds with a lens on it. It's pretty satisfying, it's pretty fun to use, everything clunks and clicks and it just feels good. So it's a pretty cool little camera. I bought this as opposed to a Pentax 6.7 or an RZ67 because this is really cheap. You can possibly get into one of these for under 200 bucks. You can certainly spend under 300 poking around. I bought this whole thing from KEH in Atlanta for, I want to say, $350, and the reason I did was I spent a little bit more than I would have on eBay, but I was certain that it would work, and everything is in either excellent or like new condition. There's a little wear on the top of the viewfinder here, but everything works perfectly. The lens itself was in like new and came with a box and all the different parts, so that's pretty cool. The camera itself is like a lot of medium format film cameras from the time, completely modular. I actually bought this in 4 different pieces. You have a viewfinder, you have the body, you have the lens of course, and then you have the film back. The film back is where the camera gets its name because it is a rotating back. So you can click this little button in here and turn the back there to switch between landscape and portrait mode. And this is kind of useful because when the camera is this size and weighs this much, it's not really plausible to turn it on its side on a tripod or hold it in that fashion, especially with the viewfinder on the top. So that allows you to shoot in portrait orientation without having to shift the whole entire beast of a machine. This focuses with a bellows focus, much like a large format camera would. So there are some issues with depth of field and stuff. There's a little chart that comes on the side that gives you an idea of how to focus with it. I've never used it, I've just kind of eyeballed it. This isn't my primary shooter as a camera, but it is pretty fun to take out. And it's nice because some forms of film that you can't get in large format anymore or are really expensive on 35mm, specifically Velvia 50 is still available in 120 and still pretty affordable, and that is a cool film that's worth shooting with. So this is the rotating back 67. As the name would indicate, it shoots 6x7 film. That's the largest commonly used form of medium format film outside some like wide panoramic view style photographs. This is 6x7. The alternatives would be like 6x4, 5, and 6x6, which is what you'd shoot on a Hasselblad. 6x7 is large. You only get 10 shots out of a roll of 120 or 20 out of a roll of 220, which I've never shot. One thing that's really cool on this, and this is the same as like a Hasselblad or any of those types of medium format film or cameras, is that this uses a dark slide, so you can remove the film back at any time. So you could shoot half a roll of 120, pop the film back off, and pop a new one on. So you could shoot different types of film. You could have them ready to go quickly if you wanted to bang through a bunch if you were doing like a fashion shoot or something like that. So that's pretty cool, and you can easily remove this just by, it won't come off if the dark slide is not off, but just by doing that there, and then you can swap on a different back. So that's pretty neat to me. If you're looking for super high quality, I would say you're probably better off going with like a Pentax 6.7, a Mamiya 7, or a Mamiya RZ67. Like I said, the reason I bought this was a combination of the price, the fully mechanical function, and the fact that lenses are super cheap. This lens was the kit lens that shipped with the camera. This is the newest version. It's a KL 127mm 3.5. 3.5 on medium format is pretty fast. I think it would be comparable to like a 1.8 probably, although I'm basing that on nothing. It's a pretty fast lens on here. You contrast that with the RZ67 though, where they sell a 110 2.8, or the Pentax 6.7 where you could get the 105 2.4. You can go really fast with those, to the point where you're getting a lens that's as fast or faster than a lot of 35mm lenses. This is going to be slower than that. I haven't been overwhelmed with using this lens. Part of that is the focal length. It roughly corresponds to like a 65 on 35mm, and that's kind of trapped in no man's land. It isn't quite a telephoto, but it's also not quite a normal lens. It's a little bit long. Beyond that, I don't have a strap for this camera, and I thought about buying one, but I'm not sure where to get one. This did not come with one, and this thing is a beast to handhold. Not so much because of the weight, because like I said, it's like 6.5 pounds, and if you can't carry that around, then you're so feeble that I'm sorry for you. But it is a kind of a pain in the ass to try and focus while you're holding this thing, looking in the ground glass, or whatever they call it, the viewfinder, and trying to nail focus. So I think a strap would help with that, but you know, whatever. To focus this, you look down from the top there into this, and let's see if you can actually see anything, but you look in there, and then that's going to capture your image and reflect it up to you. What I hadn't realized when I was initially trying to use this was I was shooting a lot of stuff wide open just because I like it. I don't know, I like the way it looks, and I wanted to see how the bokeh looked on this lens. It can be tough to eyeball that using that, and what I hadn't found until recently was you can press that little button and you get a separate magnifier that allows you to focus much closer and gives you a much better idea of what you're looking at. So had I known that, I think I would have nailed focus a lot more frequently, especially when you have the time to use that. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what there is to this. To fire this guy here, you cock the shutter with this right there, you fire, and then you advance the film on the back. I currently have a roll of 120 in there, so I can't really show you, but you take the back off and load it separately, and then load it onto the camera. To fire, well, I don't want to actually take a picture, but you would shoot that right there. And if you wanted to lock up the shutter for like landscape photography, you need to buy a special two-ended cable release, which they don't really sell anymore, but you can still get a hold of used, that plugs into the shutter lockup and into this here. Alternatively, you can just plug a normal cable release into the trigger and fire it. The shutter will still possibly move the camera. I haven't had any issue with it. My biggest concern would be my own caffeine and beer-addled hands shaking it. So yeah, that's the Mamiya RB67. They go for cheap. You can get some decent lenses on them. Film is not super expensive. I think it's a really cool way to try out medium format film. I'm going to be looking at getting a Pentax 6.7 in the future, possibly after I upgrade my large format camera, so I'll do a video on that as soon as that guy comes in. But for now, this is a really neat way to try out what was at one point a professional, really expensive system. This was a multi-thousand or at least $1,000 camera system at one point, and now you can get it for literally a song. You sing to them and they'll give it to you. So yeah, pretty cool. If you have any questions or comments, leave them. If you watch this video, I won't hold my breath, but if you do, let me know, and I'd be happy to go over it with you. Have a great day.